All right. Good morning, all. Welcome in. It is House Edge Live with John from Pro Craps. I was going to say, I said it anyway, from Casino Gaming Central. I'm still getting used to the new name and title as well. It's kind of interesting. The channel shift has been as predicted a little bit rough. I think it's going to be for a while until we start making a name and doing the daily paycheck shows and that kind of thing. Right now, it's a little slow, as you would imagine, coming from the old CDTV to here. What's funny is when I was on this channel originally, when it was called Pro Craps, I was doing coffee and craps every day. We had really good viewership. We were like 50, 60 people a day watching the shows. I went to CGTV and it killed it. I was down to like 10 people a day watching. We built that show up to getting 30, 40 people a day back and again watching again. It'll happen again once we're over. Once this channel kind of finds its feet, I think we're going to be okay. So, yeah, anyway, it's going to be interesting because I talk about I think about all the time, what am I going to talk about, right? What's tomorrow's show going to be? And it really could be anything now, right? It used to be like, what crap strategy is so-and-so talking about? And I'd have to go run and try it and figure it out. Now it's everything. Now I've got really the whole kind of world is at my doorstep here. So we'll start. What I'm really looking forward to doing is once we break down this ABCs of Crap series that I've got planned, I really want to get into breaking blackjack down. I've been watching a lot of blackjack videos recently, and in fact, I saw that this morning on my feed. It showed this morning that Craig and Chris on Full of Chips podcast are doing at least one, maybe two episodes on blackjack. So I can't wait to hear the whole thing. I heard the intro this morning when I got up, and I can't wait to get to it. Let's see. Anyway, I love that game for lots of reasons. It's an interesting game to play. You can get a lot of hands in. It's not like super slow. Baccarat's fun, but it's a little slow. Blackjack is much more adrenaline fueled, but there's a lot of cool math behind it. Why basic strategy works, why the variants work, how card counting really works, what is it really doing for you, all those kind of things. We can break that game down like crazy, like we did craps. So that'll be fun. And like I said, I'm just looking forward to doing some different things and kind of getting my brain needs to expand a little bit. And like with craps, I'll give you the example. I started out with craps because it's my favorite game, obviously. And craps has always been this weird, crazy puzzle that we're all trying to solve, right? I learned craps 30 years ago and been playing it forever. And I've done all these things playing the game and never really knew why, like the real why. Like I knew what people told me. I knew what won, what worked, what felt right to me at the tables. But I never really dug into like, why does that actually work? Or why is that why does everybody say this is a great play? Why does everybody say that's a stupid play? Like what's so I really started that channel as kind of a reason to dive in to that game. And I think now I've got a great understanding of how craps works. I still play the same way as I played before because they work, with a couple of new swings and additions here and there. But by and large, I really wanted to attack that game, and now I want to do the same with other games. That's why we're making the switch. Badger says, CGTV feed gets fed to me. You had to go out and search for this one. Okay. And again, I think what's happened is this, and I think the reason for that is were you a subscriber to Casino Gaming Central before? If you were, you should still see the alerts. If you weren't, that's why it's being buried. I think also YouTube, because I haven't done lives on this channel in a long time, I think YouTube is burying it for a little bit. We'll get to it. It'll start to build itself up for sure. Joe looks like that is 700th level up. Holy crap, Joe. That's amazing. You're almost what is 2 years? 3 or 600 and you'll be, you're about 30 or so shows away from being 2 full years of virtual play. That's unbelievable, man. Good job. Good job, Joe. And I remember when Joe first started, and Joe started out like a lot of other folks did. Let's try this strategy versus that strategy. We'll do some runouts and play it. A lot of folks are doing that same sort of thing, and Joe kind of decided to take a shift, and his journey was going to be beyond the betting and going into the throwing. And you can see what it's done for his channel and for his life. I mean, I think it's amazing. It was a great switch, but probably for you, Joe, painful in the beginning. But now you're kind of, you are what you are, and people know who you are and they know what to expect. And I think that's a great thing. So, let's see. Two up my library of book source for craps or other games. My library up here, I've got, let's see. I've got some good stuff. I've got, besides, I have like 17 different Bibles up there, because I used to coach. Right. I used to coach FCA baseball, so I've got one of my favorites is this one here. I got about 50 of these, by the way. This Heart of a Coach. We used to give these to our coaches. This is kind of a way to lead a Bible study to kids and athletes. Pretty cool version of that. But yeah, I've got, let's see. I think I'm going to make JR pretty happy with this. I've got the Grafstein. This is a reprint of the Grafstein book. But this one is actually really old. It's got a lot of highlights in it from the guy that I bought it from. I bought it used, actually. I've got, let's see, the Michael Shackelford 102 book. I've got this one, which is fantastic. Scarney's Complete Guide to Gambling, which has got, look at the size of this fucking book. It's got everything in it. This book here is old. This book is old, but not as old as this one. Hold on a second. I should have been prepared for this, right? I've got this one here, Scarney on Dice. This book here, by the way, is a hardbound edition, which you can see. I can't really open it up because the pages fall out, but look at this. It's got pictures of them playing dice. And look, this was published in, I want to be careful with this book. This was published in 1944, this book. And it's the original black hardbound edition of that one. I've got this one here, Casino Gambling for the Win. Lots of non-craps books for sure. Let's see, I've got, what else is interesting up here? Scarney on Cards, another good one that I've got. Yeah, so the library is going to get built. It's going to be a little bigger as we get going. Because again, I want to, like, I'll give you the blackjack story, right? Or Bach, I can give you either one of them, right? Bach, there's no decisions to make. You just play, right? But blackjack, when I first learned it, I was taught basic strategy and up and pull. That was literally all I learned. Basic strategy, up and pull. That was my only lesson that I ever got from my dad. I didn't learn about laddering or why basic strategy works or alternate basic strategies or no bust, which people make fun of no bust. No bust is actually not a terrible way to play. And I started going, man, there's so much more to this game than just memorizing the freaking card and being like a robot. There's more to it than that, especially when you get into the mind of the card counter. So I think there's so much we can do. Poker is another one that I want to get into a little bit. So anyway, there's lots. We can talk forever about this kind of stuff, and I think it's just more of an expansion of my brain that I want to share. And as I learn how these things work deeper, I want to give them to you. That's kind of how it is. I figure we can just talk about it every day. You know what I mean? So let's see. Will my CGC page have resource list of? Yes, 100%, guy. I'm going to do that for sure. I've got to put a new website together for Casino Gaming Central, and on that I'll have reading lists and watch lists. I'm going to try and make this more of a community feel than I did before. Before it was like John's thoughts on things. This is going to be more of a, hey, I learned this from this guy. TRG specifically, right? Really want to get in more with the Casino Combat Crew because it's such a smart, and Tony Leo as well, right? Smart ways to play these other games that I've never explored as deep as I've done with craps. So I think it's going to be great. Definitely 100%. Yeah, I know that he's a PCH coach who was actually on our meeting this morning. So, all right, let's get to today, and we'll do a couple things here. So, obviously, let's not forget all the fun we can have, all the books we can read, all the lectures I can give, all the friends we can make. We're all in this sort of fight together to some degree, right? And again, the casinos, I say, are the one business, I think probably the only business that's in direct competition with their customers. No other business that I can think of competes with their customers. Is that a weird way to say that? But they do, right? Even though for some things, for a movie, you give up money and you get nothing to walk away with except for a great time. People say the casino is the same kind of thing. But in all honesty, the casinos are trying to take your money, all of it. They're trying to bankrupt you. They're trying to take all of your money. And if you get too good at it, if you're a great sports bettor or you're really good at blackjack, you can be trespassed. You can be bet limited bet limited, right? Bring the table limits down to where you can't hurt them. They will not allow themselves to get beat. They just won't, but they will take everything you own. It's an interesting thing. And as much as I love to gamble, I keep this in my mind all the time. I can't forget that it actually is a battle. And we have to come in armed, I think. And that's kind of why I do these shows. I arm myself with this kind of stuff, like we talk about every day. Understanding what bankroll means, how you use it, what it's good for, how can you leverage your bankroll, or how do you sit back with it, right? What is my risk, my personal level of risk aggression? What is it for me? Do I have an appetite or an aversion to risk? Do I marry those things together? Can I identify when it's time to go? Can I identify where to play, right? The right table limits, the right kinds of games, the right locations for me. Do I have the discipline to leave? We talked about discipline yesterday with Ken and Waylon, right? And TRG, by the way, extreme discipline. Tony Leo, extreme discipline. These guys that are, we'll call them professionals, right? That are gambling daily. I know that the math guys out there be like, oh, those guys are a bunch of charlatans. I know them. They play every day, literally practicing what they preach. They don't win every day, but they play every day. None of them are hitting the gas pedal trying for a home run. None of them are. They have their ways, right? And there's a different mindset about that. I think discipline, goals, keeping your emotions completely out of this thing is the way that you can do that. If you're just here for a good time, we can have that conversation too. And I've got plenty of things that we do on Fridays for our Friday Folly show that are just about having a good time, right? I think there's two ways to approach these things, all right? But as I said yesterday, we're going to start this new series called The ABCs of Gambling. And we did A yesterday. We didn't do it. We've strategized about it. So today, I'm going to run into B, C, and D. I think B, C, and D, or just B and C. I think maybe it's, well, I'll give you the ideas for B, C, and D. So I want you to, and if you're in chat, start thinking about things about gambling that start with the letter B, C, or D, and put them in chat, right? Yesterday, I started with 4 or 5 things for the A. Advantage play, playing aces correctly in all the different games, right? Understanding what your action levels what action levels mean, your attitude, anchoring bias. Now, these came from chat, right? Somebody wanted me to talk about avoiding bad games, 6 to 5, 3-0 roulette, avoiding awful side bets, avoiding, crazy plays. Alcohol. James Newberg brought alcohol up yesterday, right? Alcohol is an A word that has to go with gambling. And of course, Duracell will always be collecting. So now we're going to look into B. And I think I didn't change the bottom. So the bottom still says A. I forgot to do that. But for the B, some of the topics I'm going to get into, I think, are going to be bankroll, right? Bankroll is an important thing. We talk about it almost every day. There are certain ways you can play and not play based on your bankroll. Your bankroll dictates an awful lot about the strategy, about the level of aggression, about your approach, and about how your discipline muscle gets kind of tweaked, right? Your budgets, which is different than bankroll. Budget and bankroll are similar but different things. I think basic strategy. I think bet spreads, especially in counting blackjack, but bet spreads also matter in other games. Betting patterns. If you guys watch my show, all I talk about is betting. I'm such a big believer in betting patterns. I think it's one of the secret sauces of beating the casino. And of course, the games themselves, baccarat and blackjack. So if you've got other B words, put them out here. That's my first initial thought on the letter B. The letter C, I was having a tough time with C. Really, you've got card counting, of course, the game of craps, cognitive discipline, and comps. I could put cruising on here for letter C. I think letter C might be a good cruising one because cruising, obviously, Brian from Holy Rollers made an entire existence out of cruising, an entire channel out of, there's one, convergence. That's great. Good job. I like that one a lot. I'm going to, again, if you have them, put them out here. I'm taking notes as we go. And if you're watching us not live, but later on today, put it in the comments and I'll add them in. Anyway, that's my first thoughts on C. Then we get into letter D, and I think D is going to be an interesting one because you get to talk about discipline. And I believe that discipline, James Newberry says simply, if you do not have discipline, stop gambling, right? And I would say this to that statement: stop trying to gamble for a purpose without discipline. You can gamble and just bring $1,000 and put it all in the high limit slots and hope for a jackpot because you want the lights, bells, whistles, and a good time. That's totally fine. I'm okay. Believe me, if you want to burn your money and have a great time doing it, gambling's a fun way. You get all the stuff, right? If you want to do it for real, quote unquote, build a little bit of bankroll, regularly take money off the table and go do something with it, then you can't do that if you don't have discipline. You just can't. It's impossible. I want to talk about in the D's destination in terms of the casino you play, the game in the casino you play, where in the casino you play, which tables you pick. That's an important piece of it, right? We want to get into the magic of doubling down in blackjack and why that changes the game so much, but also doubling down in other games, right? You double down in blackjack under very specific certain conditions. Other games present the same opportunity. We just never talk about it in this term. We'll talk about the D'Alembert, which is Wayland's laddering system, right? He's made a killing playing that way. He's made a lot of friends showing you how to play that way on his channel. D'Alembert is a thing we should talk about. I think deviations brings us around into variance and math a little bit. We'll talk about deviation. Of course, we'll talk about dice influence, and of course, we're going to talk about data, right? I think there are other D's in here, like the drawdown. I got to talk about the draw. I should put that in here. The drawdown is a thing. I play that in craps all the time, but drawing down is an interesting way to play every game. And if you play drawdown, and I think that ties into bet levels and bet spreads, drawing down is a very interesting way to get out of dodge really quick. If you want to think about catching a run and walking out of there, a drawdown versus a build up is really this interesting kind of ships passing in the night way to play these games. So again, if you've got ideas on B, C, or D that you want to hear about, think about it while I'm talking today. Drop it in the chat, and let's really decide what we want to learn about. I think this is going to be one of those things where, like I said yesterday, I want to make this series the series that I would want to watch and learn from, and it's going to be things that I want to dive into. Sometimes, a good teacher doesn't know everything, right? We make things like this that I have to research now. I've got to now research, how do I teach to you all this idea of cognitive dissonance? I gotta really learn what that means and really get in and teach it. So to me, this series is going to be a little bit of personal exploration combined with what do y'all want to know. So definitely let me know. D for drunk. There we go. Maybe we'll have an alcohol related word every single time. We could probably do an alcohol related, like alcohol, buzzed, cocked, drunk. We can do I should probably do an anti-drinking thing at every single one. As much as I love me some whiskey, I think that trying to gamble with even one in you is a problem. But yeah, James, I saw one of my friends the other night, so drunk he couldn't count the chips in the rack from all the free drinks. The casino, I'm telling you what, I always say this: if they're doing something for you, they aren't doing it for you. They're doing it for themselves. Everything that they do is for themselves. Ooh, good one, Wayland. Competence. I love that one. That's great. Two Wheel Paradise says chaos theory. Also great. I like the #3, by the way. That if you guys have do this for me. If you have a C or a D or a B, put a #B and then the thing. That's a great pattern to follow from now on. So I can find them. Because what I do is I go back and read the chats every day. So let's do that. Cool. All right. Let's go play a little bit. I was talking yesterday about. I'm gonna get rid of my mouse and keyboard. I was talking yesterday a little bit about how much I'm loving what Ken is doing with his bankroll build series. I'm gonna do the same thing. The table, by the way, is being rebuilt. Not rebuilt, but I'm getting my felt done. So I don't have a craps table to play at. I don't have a. Therefore, there's nowhere for me to deal cards either. I'm just. This is my mouse pad at my desk, right? So luckily, it's a craps table. So I'm gonna practice. I know what I'm gonna do already, but we're gonna work this week a little bit on a couple of ways to play that I'm gonna approach Daily Paycheck with, and we're gonna bring the Daily Paycheck show back. I'm gonna call that show probably the Coffee Run. The Coffee Run will be get up in the morning, have some Java, go make a paycheck, and then do another show. That's gonna be the thing. It's gonna be a timed thing, 15-20 minutes max type of deal. So here we go. Let's get my chips out here. And what I got is 1250. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 slugs of 5 units. Okay. It's going to be the Horseman. So a 2-unit don't and 3 combats. We're going to play super simple this week, working through what I think is one of the easiest ways to kind of go after this thing. We will decide whether to ladder or not. Now, I think with 1250, there's not enough money here to do a ladder. Okay. Why is that? And what does a ladder really take? You got to take a look at a ladder and say, well, what if I lost 5-6 times in a row? Okay. Well, if my shot is 125, right? And each of these is a shot. If I lose one, then I got to go out with 2. If I lose 2, I got to go out with 3. If I lose 3, I go out with 4. That gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 cracks at it, right? That's not enough, right? A good ladder, I got to get to at least level 8. I got to have enough to go up 8 times, right? So I would need another 5, another 6, another 7, and another 8 sets of 5 to make that work, right? That's going to bring my bankroll to about $5,000 with $25 increments. So it's a tough deal. I don't have that kind of money. I'm going to work it from here. We're not going to ladder. If I do ladder, it'll be after a couple losses and maybe only once. Okay. If I do anything today, I may progress a little bit. Okay. Let's get after it. We're going to go with a $50 don't. I'm not going to hedge. I'll put my next 3 come bets up there. I'll bring out the wheel. I changed the dice out to whites. I actually tried to put casino dice in here. I have my casino dice, my actual real dice. I try to put them in here and it can't spin. It's not strong enough to spin real dice. It's only a little battery operated thing. So anyway, here we go. Just going to work on, by the way, here's the bank's money. The casino has $325. I'm going to try and take all that, as much of that as I can into my rack. So there's my goal. I'll put the goal out on the table. I'm going to try and take this money from the house if I can. If I can get even half of this with $1,000, I'm going to be super happy. All right, let's go. Boy, the battery is just dying over there. All right, points 4. The battery is feeling pretty dead. I wonder if that's why I couldn't spin the casino dice. All right, there's 4 is the point. First comeback on the way. Let's do it. Waylon did a 5-hour live last night. Wow, that goes to the 9. Next comeback. Yeah, I gotta change the battery out. There's a 9. That's great. That's off and on, right? So this comes down and gets paid while that comeback moves up. I'm going to put this back in the rack, all right? Last comeback comes. And we got an 11. Yo, that's great. That also pays, and that comeback is off the table. Notice how I play the horseman. I don't keep 3 comebacks cycling forever, right? Every comeback either wins or loses on its own, and that's the end of the bet. It came right, no, that's how it came right back. Now what I've got is potentially a 3-unit win if we get lucky, right? If I pull all this off the table, you'll see we'll be up 6 units. Check it out. Oh my God, the bubble craps is dying. All right, that's the 7, 617. We lose our 9, but we win 2 down here on the don't, okay? When I put this back in the rack, that makes my rack full. There's I got my shooter back, and I'm up 3 units, just like that. If I was playing black chips, we're out of here. We're playing greens, though, because of our bankroll size. We'll put this up here in the profit section. Hopefully, we can keep it there. Again, I'm always working to keep my shelf right. Next shooter coming out. Here we go. On the don't for 2 units. Wow, that battery is bad. All right, there's an 8. Okay, here we go. Next comeback. It's making me, I wonder if it's because the dice are so heavy. These are actually heavier dice than the red ones I use. All right, there's a 7 out, PSO. Comeback gets paid. The line gets paid. And again, we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, put it back in the rack. My 10 shooters are back to where they should be. I'll put the extra one up here, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. $150, which is 10% win. A little more than that off my 1250. Okay. We take one more crack at it. We'll do one more shooter's worth, right? I've got the whole shooter paid for out of profits, right? We can do a couple things here. Okay. And again, we talked about leveraging bets last week. We never got a chance to do it. I could just go back out there with 5 and be like, let's just do it with 5, right? Or I could say, you know what? We're going to take the shooter we were going to risk anyway and some of our profits, and we can level it up and go with a 4-unit don't and 2-unit come bets and take one crack from profit on a big one. This is the Ken Knows Gambling hybrid. Starting small, as you win, you can increase your base bets up and maybe catch a little bit of a miracle along the way. If it works, great. If not, we just take our next shooter and try it again. Here we go. You ready? It's got to avoid that. You got to avoid getting destroyed on your come out. Now, what's going to happen to me here is this. If I go to my rack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's my full rack. I'm still $50 in profit. That didn't work. We go back out regular size. We thought we'd take a crack at it. Didn't work out. We'll start back over again. Here we go. And there's another 8. Okay, 8 with a comeback coming. Oh my God. This thing, I'm going to have to shake it here in a minute. All right, so now we're going to get ugly, right? The comeback goes to the 8. Puck comes off. We lose our don't. We don't go back out. Okay, the bank is back to even, by the way. They had 325. We are completely even right now. We don't go back to the don't. We're going to play 3 come bets. All right, but there's no come. We're pass lining. We're going to make the pass line our second come bet. Just let these things run themselves out. I'll take a yo right here, huh? All right, that's the 4. Last come bet is here. And it's a 4. So we get paid on the point. Back to the rack that goes. We'll let these 2 bets ride themselves out. 4 and 8. And then whatever happens, happens. We'll go back and our next shooter is basically ready to go. Here we go. Oh my God. It's such a slow spin. Just making me laugh. There's a 4. Look at that. The point's 4. Comeback comes down and gets paid. The rack is right. There's my slug back. Quarter in profit. 1 bet still in play. That is a 7 out. So we lose this here. Puck is off, and there it goes. I've not done the horseman with a baccarat line yet. That's the thing I do want to try though at some point. It wouldn't be the horseman. The horseman rides because of the 7, right? So if you're switching sides down here, it's a different thing. But that's a really good idea. We should definitely try that one of these days. All right, we're still a unit in profit. Let's restart. New don't. That's the 6. Here's our comeback. And then we get picked again. Goes to the 6. Out to the pass line. There's an 8 for the point. That's a good point. And our third comeback. 5. Right? We know the 5, the 6, and the 8. We're playing the Iron Cross, basically, right? Can actually take this quarter here and go into the field if I wanted to. Let's just avoid big nasty for a minute. Oh no, we don't. We get picked. So now you can tell we're behind. The bank has $425. We're a full shooter behind. We have to work. We talked about discipline earlier. When I was up 125, it wasn't quite our goal, so we kept playing. Look what happens, right? That nice little run we had earlier on just ends up going bye-bye really quick. The horseman has this great little comfort zone. At the same time, it's got a great way of getting its tail handed to it. There's a 5. All right, point's going to be 5. And let's get it done. Let's get this rack built back up again. At midnight, oh boy, we're getting in that territory where every bet's losing, right? I'd love to see a 7 right about now, huh? All right, we got to come back to the 10. And our last one, it's the 7. So the 10 loses, comeback wins, pass line wins, or the don't pass wins, and we end up for that shooter being up a quarter. Even though we lost, we're still up a quarter. There's our 5 units. There's another quarter in profit. Here we go. We're still a shooter down, by the way. So there's a 9 for the point. We got some work to do here. There's another 4. The 4s are really kind of coming today, aren't they? This sad little thing is cracking me up. That one goes to the 10. Those are not great bets right there. Boy, oh boy. And there's a 10. How about that? The 10 pays. So it's off and on. Off, and on is how they do that. They give you back your unit. That comebat's done, by the way. So we're going to go ahead and put our rack back together again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, we're still light because we lost that one whole shooter, but we have good bets here in action. Let's get it. There's a 6. We just need the 4, the 10. An 8. Hard 4. How about that? 4 comes down. That's a shooter recovered. Working our way towards ourselves being even. Another 4. My gravy. A 10. Look at the 10 coming and getting paid. Wow. How about some big nasty right here, huh? 11, yep. A midnight. There's a 5. Another 5. Another, that's the tall, by the way. There's an 8, 9, 10. We've hit the 10 twice. We've seen the 11 in the midnight, so that's the tall for this shooter. Haven't seen the 2. There's a 3. I think we just get the 2, and it's the ATS. I think. I'm not actually keeping score, but I think that's what it'll be. Another 10. How about this guy right here? Pay this guy. There it is. There's the 7. Fantastic. Boom. That was a perfect round. There is the bankroll being back. That's all 10 shots back and $50 in profit. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, huh? We did okay. We can use a little bit of leverage here, but there's really not enough money to do it. I can't really do a full shot. Let's just get one more shooter in, and we'll rock it on. This will be it. I got to get to work at 8 o'clock here. So last shooter. Let's go. 3 craps, 3. Boom. Pay me. That is fantastic. There is, by the way, make this right. There's my next 3 comebacks are sitting there. We're good. By the way, we have actually $100 in profit right now. There's $100 in profit after all that work, right? Being down a couple, we're up $100, right? We said we finished the shooter out, so we'll do that. At worst thing possible, we'll lose $25, right? That's the worst possible scenario, but let's get it done. That's a 3, a 1, 2, 3, ace deuce. We lose there. There's a 11. We got it right back. That comeback is back in the rack, and our last comeback is right here. Now, no matter what, we win a quarter, right? There's a 5. It goes in there. We lose our point, which really sucks. So we're playing our last comeback right here. And there's the 5. It pays. Boom. So we walk away with $75 in profit. Typical horseman day, right? You're going to tie a lot in the horseman. Somebody in chat is saying it's a great Helms, Biff Helms. It's C for getting comps, right? This is a great comp strategy. If you're going to play this on a cruise ship, you're not going to get destroyed. You're going to lose a bullet here and there. You're going to win a bullet here and there. As you can see, we were up a bullet earlier. We were down 2 earlier. We crawled back. Now we're up by 3 units. Whatever. It's a profit. Those number of rolls on a real craps table, there's probably, what, 30 rolls there? That's a good 45 minutes to an hour of work with a 125 average spread. That's going to get you a free cruise. That's going to earn you a ton of comps, especially if you're playing this with $5,000 and black chips. If you have $5,000 and these are black chips, that's $300 in profit, which is nothing to sneeze at. But your average bet's $500. You get that free cruise in one day doing that without really being too upside down in the process. So anyway, let's go back. Let's go back here and look at my pretty face. We'll talk one more thing before we close it up. So Waylon says, and I believe this to be true, we should try this with the Baccarat line. And maybe tomorrow I'll do that. It won't be the Horseman. It'll be something like the Horseman with the Baccarat line. Now, what could be interesting is if we switch sides. So let's say that the Horseman is don't pass 3 comebacks. If the point gets tagged and I lose my don't pass, the next shooter's worth of money comes out there on the pass line for 2 and then 3 DC bets. And if we baccarat the whole thing. We just switch the complete thing on both ends of it. Again, it's a math play. It's just rhythm play. That'll catch you a good outcome on a 7. Will win all the way through that thing. Just not on the first roll. That one would die on the first or second roll 7, but after that you'd be fine. Interesting way to approach it, Wayla. We'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot for sure. Yeah, if I cashed out both times I was in profit, I'd be at $300. If we had done that as separate sessions, right? Like session 1, 125. Cruised it back, right? If you look at this as separate time, every time, I think I asked Matt at Dice Data this. I asked him for a report when he's doing his analyses, right? How many times is any strategy up? So he does these things where he runs 100 million rolls, right? And of course, everything loses in the end, no matter what you do. However, there are points in time in every single run that he does, not every single run, but what is the percentage of times this strategy is ever up in profit? Starting at 2,500, how many times did it ever show even 1 unit in profit? How many times? How many times does the strategy never get to profit? There's both sides of that line, right? There's a time where, for example, the skill 66, probably about 40% of the time never shows a profit, maybe more than that, right? But 65% of the time it does show profit. I would like to know that for every strategy. What is the percentage of times I'm ever up? Because that's the thing I talk about a lot is like, if you're ever up, do you have the balls to leave? Be interesting to find out from him. All right, guys, I'm out. That's it. I got nothing else to say. I got to get to work. That was a fun show. Tomorrow we'll do the baccarat thing. I'll do the full baccarat tomorrow. The next day I'll do baccarat just the line, and we'll see how it works out. It should be kind of fun. All right. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Hump day tomorrow. So we'll get into the E's, F's, and G's of the alphabet tomorrow. So be thinking about some other words you want me to talk about. In the meantime, have a great Tuesday. Love y'all. God bless everybody. Goodbye.